The best advice that I can give for that is to be really specific. Be specific with your goal setting, be specific with your dreaming, because if you're not specific, it's very hard to bring something to life that you don't have specifics for. I'm thinking of my son who's got a Lego set. If he didn't have the directions to follow, he probably wouldn't necessarily be able to build these really complex models, right? But he has instructions that are very specific that tell him which pieces to attach when, and it comes to life. Goal setting and dreams are the same thing. The more specific you get, the more likely you are to achieve it.
This is Get Unstuck Podcast, a podcast for entrepreneurs who prioritize their life first, business second. I'm Mudita Panmuk, your host, who dedicates my life to designing and building a business that supports lifestyle. We will learn together from entrepreneurs around the world how they overcome their life challenges, their business obstacles, and yet still get unstuck from the hamster wheel of burying themselves into their business. Because time is the number one commodity in the world that you cannot get back once it's gone. So let's shorten the learning curve and see how can we prioritize better. Let's get unstuck. Hi, Get Unstuck Nation. How do you plan your goal? How do you track it? How do you manage it and make it happen even? So our guest today brings more than 30 years of experience in goal coach. She's a certified health and nutrition coach, life coach, personal trainer, and business consultant as well. So Debi Kinney launched Hello Coaching. Yes, that's the name, Hello Coaching, to help her clients connect inspiration and intention with action to transform their life and businesses. I know, right? Let's not wait any longer. So please welcome Debi to Get Unstuck Podcast today. Hi, Debi.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, of course. I'm so excited to have you on, If anyone hears, I know that to set a goal is just like, okay, I'm going to set something, I'm going to do it, right? Like some to-do list or something, but actually it's go beyond that. It's actually plan your whole life to move in that direction. So we have expert here today, and we're definitely going to deep down into this topic today. Before we get there though, Debi, I would love to learn your history. How did you get started your entrepreneurial journey though?
So I have an entrepreneurial spirit. I think I was painting rocks and selling them in my neighborhood at a very young age. And I actually got certified to teach group fitness classes at the age of 13. So I've always been a little bit on my own and this sort of free spirit in terms of enterprise. And so 4 years ago, I just had my 4-year coaching anniversary. I launched Hello Coaching, which was really a meeting point of all of my years of experience. I was in corporate hospitality for 25 years. I've been in health and wellness for 35, and those numbers totally scare me that I'm that old that I can say this. But I've taken everything I've learned along the journey, my own personal experience, my education, what I've learned through coaching others and managing others, both in a corporate environment as well as in my own coaching business. And I have combined it all and created this system where I help clients get unstuck, just like you, and really pursue their passions and their dreams through setting goals and achieving them.
You mentioned that pursuing the dream and setting goals. Usually your clients come to you, and do they know really what their dreams are and what their goals are?
Not all the time. Sometimes they know one or the other. Like I would consider myself very goal-oriented, but I had a really hard time learning to dream. And so typically one or the other will be present, or I want to look this way, or I want to feel this way, or I want my business to grow in this way. But most people don't really know how to get from that point A of I want to point Z of I achieved. And so that's what I'm really here to help people do.
Oh, I actually can resonate with you that. And how you develop the dream part?
So with the dream part, I typically don't go into dreaming until we've worked together for a little while. For the clients who have a harder time dreaming, you have two kind of, the right brain and the left brain. And so I can very quickly tell where my clients are. And so if they're really goal oriented and they're practical and they really want to follow a to-do list or a checklist, that's one approach. If some of my clients are just much more into dreaming and it's a little bit more nebulous out there, and so I take a little bit different approach. I customize all of my coaching based on how my clients are going to adapt and work best. So if I have a really goal-oriented client that I need to encourage to do some dreaming, we work up to it. And I learn about them. I learn what their vision is, what their goals are, what they've been doing to get there, what they haven't been doing to get there. And then once we build that mutual rapport and trust, then I can take them through a dreaming exercise. I actually just finished one with a client about 2 hours ago. It's a 30-minute session where we really walk through some 2025 dreaming. He's very goal-oriented and logical. And so I wanted to get him out of his comfort zone and do some dreaming. And so I walk my clients through an actual exercise, and he had these amazing insights about people that weren't in his picture in a year that are now, and some of the things that he was doing that he really didn't even anticipate. They didn't tie into his goals, but they did to his dreams. And so now we'll do the work to connect the dots between the two.
Oh, it seems, oh wow, that's deep though. People around you that are part of your dream, but not a part of your goal. How can you manage that? And like thinking about it, like currently that we are living in one's life, but also living towards the life that we are planning to have, or the best life that we want to have eventually. How can we make that happen? How can we vision that though?
The best advice that I can give for that is to be really specific. Be specific with your goal setting, be specific with your dreaming, because if you're not specific, it's very hard to bring something to life that you don't have specifics for. I'm thinking of my son who's got a Lego set. If he didn't have the directions to follow, he probably wouldn't necessarily be able to build these really complex models, right? But he has instructions that are very specific that tell him which pieces to attach when, and it comes to life. Goal setting and dreams are the same thing. The more specific you get, the more likely you are to achieve it. And so that's what I work with my clients on, is the specifics. They get maybe tired of me saying, okay, and what else? And who else? And how else? But we continue to build and build and build until we've just got a really beautifully mapped out goal or dream that they can then, they've got a visual, and it's like a roadmap. They can take that and follow it to make their dream or make their goals come to life, to become a reality.
I really like your motto though. Say hello to the best version of you with guidance of a goal coach. Where is Hello Coach coming from? Like thinking back 4 years ago, how this name come from?
Thank you for asking that. And very few people ask that, which I find so interesting. So with any type of outside support or assistance, and especially with coaching, my philosophy is you have to welcome that into your life. You have to be ready to accept help, to accept feedback. And so that's where hello is a greeting, it's a welcoming. And so hello coaching is welcoming that coaching aspect into your life, whether it's, personal, whether it's professional, whether it's life coaching, life purpose, being ready to take that next step, to ask for assistance and to receive from a coach is a big step. And so that's where the name comes from, is hello coaching is about welcoming this new aspect into your life.
Oh, that's lovely.
Thank you.
So from what you have seen, I know that you guide your clients through, but let's say that they are not your clients yet, but most people in general, what is the reason, at least mostly, that they set goals and they failed?
So most people set goals and don't achieve them because, number one, they're not specific in the goals that they're setting. The more, like I said a few minutes ago, the more specific you can be, the more likely you are to achieve them. Number two, a lot of times once we set those goals, we have such tunnel vision that we're not adapting along the way. So there's multiple pathways to an end goal. And so while we may be really, really focused on pathway A, but we're getting resistance, we're hitting challenges, we're experiencing roadblocks, but we're not being open and aware to make some adjustments where maybe path B or path C might be more relevant or more realistic. And so that's another reason why people fail to achieve their goals, is they're got so much tunnel vision, and they're kind of square peg round hole, where they're just trying to make it happen instead of really letting it happen. And then they get frustrated and a lot of times just give up. Whereas if you have a coach, or you have, some consulting expertise, and you've got that outside perspective and you're welcoming that feedback, it just expedites the timing. It helps with more efficient activity. And it really is just such an incredible value to get that outside perspective to help you achieve those goals more efficiently and effectively.
Are there many types of goals though?
Are there many types of goals? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like I only know short term and long term, basically. Those are goals category, or there are more of that?
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. So I was thinking types of goals, like personal, professional, fitness. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
Oh, no. I'm thinking the same way. I don't know, like, how can we look at goals? Okay, let's ask that question. Like, there are many goals in life, right? It could be take a look in different perspective, like put each lens on. Do we able to do many goals at once?
My advice, and when I work with clients, depending on what their goals are and how intricate, how accessible they are, I typically will not set more than 3 goals with a client at once. Typically, I like to focus on 1 or 2 at a time. It just kind of depends on what they're working on. But if you have too many things going on at once, you have too many goals, it's really hard to focus on any one. Diluted attention gets diluted effort and diluted results. And so I really like to focus on 1, 2, or maybe 3 goals at any given time. So for example, with a health and nutrition coaching client, I could focus on a nutrition piece, a hydration piece in terms of water intake, and an exercise regimen all at the same time. They all work together. That's kind of a holistic system where they all benefit each other. But I've had clients that have come to me that have, really big business goals, and then they want to transform their body at the same time. And so we spend some time prioritizing one over the other, or at least putting more of our focus into one or the other, with maybe 2 goals for the business and 1 goal for their physical transformation, and then we build from there. So it's much easier to build a solid foundation when you're focusing on 1 or 2 things, and then you get the motivation and you get the momentum, and then you keep building, versus when you're trying to put all of this out into the world and work on it, and then there's too much going on and you don't feel successful, and then you don't have this foundation and you lose motivation. So really starting small, really establishing yourself in whatever avenue you want to go, and then building on top of that has been, in my experience, the absolute best way to grow personally or professionally.
And how can we know what is our priority right now?
Everybody's different, and that's really where having that outside perspective comes in. Coaches like myself, we are going to ask a lot of questions up front. We're going to get to know you. We're going to get to know where you're at, where you've been, where you want to go. And based on that, we can give options. We can present scenarios. We can take you through exercises that will make your priorities clearer, because I can't decide for any client what their priorities should be. We have to decide, each individual has to decide for ourselves. All I can do is give the tools and the resources to make those priorities much clearer.
I noticed something in your website about your about page though. You connect your purpose at your young age and then brought it to full circle at the age of 45.
Yes.
What is the story behind that?
So as I mentioned a little bit earlier, I got certified to teach group fitness classes at the age of 13, which is wild because my son is 13 right now. So to think I was, my mom was dropping me off at a gym to go teach a class of adults. But it was a really great life skill and it stayed with me. It was a great job. I got paid to work out. It was wonderful. And I kept that as a job all the way through my 20s. Meantime, I went into marketing, I went into corporate event planning, and as I went up the corporate ladder, I had to give up the aerobic step. And so fitness was always just a personal value of mine. I've worked out consistently from the time I was 13, with the exception of like a couple of months when I was on bed rest when I was pregnant. And so that's been a personal value of mine. Fast forward at the age of 45, we're mid-pandemic. And I'm searching for a way to help people. I'm in event planning. Events are canceled, obviously. And so I wanted to like reconnect and reach out and just help people in some way. And I was approached about going into coaching. And it was sort of right time, right place. And I had the experience. I had the passion behind it. It was something that resonated with me. And so I started my business at the age of 45 and ended up leaving corporate hospitality. 6 months later, my business just grew. And so I was able to leave and pursue coaching full time. So it went from teaching group fitness at the age of 13 all the way forward where I'm now a certified personal trainer. I work with clients on health and nutrition. And then I also do business consulting because that's a part of who I am too. I love strategy and I love getting in there with marketing and just that makes me happy too. I'm multi-passionate.
Yeah, talking about multi-passionate, right? Like you mentioned that it's a combination of everything, like nutrition, lifestyle, business plan, like everything that needs to give you an overall perspective and also give you a simple, actionable, and sustainable step towards that goal.
Yes.
How does that looks like? The action abbreviation that you mentioned about. That's your coaching method, isn't it?
Yes. So it's really it's my signature framework of how I work with clients. And so when someone comes to me, the very first thing, the A of the action, the very first thing that we do is we do an assessment. We look at where they've been, where they want to go, where they're feeling stuck. And we take a holistic look at all aspects of their life to get a really good snapshot of where they're at. Then the next step is C of action is commitment. That's when we talk about the plan of action, we contract, and we talk about solidifying the relationship to work together. The T of action is something called trusting the process. And that's a really big step. That's a defining moment for a lot of clients because a lot of clients come to me very frustrated because they've tried a lot of things and haven't felt successful, or they want it to happen quicker than it is maybe happened for them in the past. And so I have a lot of conversations about really trusting the process. I've successfully helped so many clients and in all the different realms we mentioned, health and nutrition, fitness, lifestyle, business. And the reason I connected all of those together is that's where like I said, I'm multi-passionate. It's where my interests lie. It's where I have experience. But they also, all of those areas really do work together to create an integrated lifestyle. And so really trusting the process comes down to, this is the system we're going to put in place. And with consistency and time, we will realize results. And then after that, the I of action is identifying limiting beliefs. We all have them. We all lack confidence in some area. And whether that's self-confidence, whether that's been put on us by, family or bosses or whatever, we really go through some exercises to identify limiting beliefs so that we can then overcome them. And then from there, the O of action is we're going to outline the plan. We're going to continue. I call it, my signature thing is audit and edit. We outline the plan. And then as we go along, we're constantly auditing it and editing it. So as I talked about before, most people get this tunnel vision. The best thing to do is set a plan of attack, but be open to feedback, be open to cues, be open to change and evolution. And then the N of action is really navigating challenges. That's something where people really, when they hire a coach, my clients have said, wow, I've never had this type of support. I've never had someone who can navigate the challenges with me. And that's typically the point where a lot of people will just give up if they don't have a coach and they don't have anyone, cheerleading with them and helping to guide them and giving them options and giving them that outside perspective that they maybe don't have because they're in it. That's a huge value piece of coaching, is we're navigating the challenges together. And so that's really the signature framework that I work with for the action plan.
So let's put, I can just think about the business owner perspective right now. I know for the fact that, many audience here, having issue alongside between health, like stressful, overwhelming, versus the business issue at the same time. So usually that goal would be on the health side, like to improve the health way, sleep better. I think that would be the top goal.
Yes.
Sleep better. I have heard that almost every day. My team talking about all the time. And also how to overcome these business challenges, right? But I know for the fact that if we are not as healthy, we can't work as good.
Yeah, correct. Yes, health plays a huge role. It's the underlying foundation for really everything else, for supporting yourself, your family, your business. And yes, stress and sleep are probably two of the top issues that I work with clients on, but everybody can benefit from it. I'm extremely healthy. I'm turning 49 this Friday, and I am in the healthiest, most fit shape of my life, but that didn't come without practice. And that's what I really like to share with people, is that none of this happens overnight. I gave you a formula earlier. I said consistency plus time equals results. It all comes down to a practice. We don't learn to drive a car in one day. We go out and we learn little by little, and we practice and we practice, and we get better and better and better. Or for people that practice yoga, you don't just walk into a yoga studio and ace every pose. It is a practice. You are present on the mat. And so, any of these aspects of health, stress management, sleep, it's all a practice. Sleep, I personally, like I said, physically, I'm in the best health I've ever been in. One of my main goals for this year was to go from about 6 to 6 hours and 15 minutes of sleep a night to over 7 hours of sleep every night. And it sounds simple. Oh, go to bed earlier, or get up a little earlier. But I get up at 4 a.m. already. I'm not willing to get up any earlier. So I had to really figure out, okay, how do I do this? And it's been a process. So again, whether it's sleep or stress or business challenges, it is a practice. It is setting the intention. It is putting that intention into action. And then it is practicing it consistently till you realize those results.
How can we make it sustainable? When we start practicing it?
So there's a few different ways. We as humans all respond to different quote unquote rewards. Some people like positive rewards, like, okay, I worked out every day this month. I'm going to go buy myself a new pair of workout shoes. Some people respond to negative consequences. So, I didn't go to the gym. I have to, pay money to something that I don't even like, a campaign I don't even support. So different rewards and different consequences work for different people. For me, I'm a very visual person, as most of my clients are. So to really get that momentum going, so I do monthly big planning calls, and then I do weekly check-ins with my clients. When we do the monthly big planning call, I will set a visual chart for some of my clients who need help in this area. I'll do a visual chart of what we're working on that month, and for every day that they finish, they can color in the box, and then they can send that to me. And then as you start to see all the boxes start to fill up, it feels good, and you get motivation, and you see it working. If there's boxes that aren't being colored in, we can start to identify patterns about okay, well, every Saturday you missed your workout. So maybe Saturday isn't a good workout day. So that's the type of work that I do with my clients. I really hone into what makes them tick. And then we figure out ways to support that so that they can get that reward that they need to continue to do the work and to do the practice.
So when we set the goals and okay, we trust the process, we're going through everything, and then things doesn't work out the way we do, there are challenges right along the way,
Mm-hmm.
and we feel like there may be other ways to, let's say that, for example, business. Let's give this scenario. I think this would resonate with many people. If you want to stick to the plan, like for example, this marketing plan strategy, but then 1 month go or 2 months go, it doesn't work just yet, and they're trying to find a new shortcut already to like get
Mm-hmm.
back in the box like faster or something. So this is the bad habits already, right? To keep changing, and it's already hurt the operation part. Like it's gonna give me freak out once I know that. Oh, are you thinking about changing again? How can we solve this mindset at least to prevent the scarcity of like maybe there are better things out there to keep changing goal or something?
I mean, yeah, and it happens in business. It happens with my health clients. I have a client this morning. She just hit her 1 month anniversary, and she lost 7.5 inches in 1 month, which is phenomenal. But she was disappointed in her 1 month photos, and so I share that because it comes down to managing expectations, and the things that we expect for ourselves or for our businesses aren't always realistic. So we really have to then take the emotion out of it and look at what the data is. And that's something that I can walk my clients through, whether it's a marketing plan, we can look at what the averages are, what the success rates are. And so we can look at that data to kind of compare, are you performing above, at, or below average? And maybe there's minor modifications we need to make to streamline or to pick up the pace. But there's a saying that says, marry the process, divorce the outcome. And that is a phrase that I use a lot because it really has to come down to that consistency. And the way that you see results the best is through consistency over time. And so for a client like that wants to keep switching, I've worked with them too. We really come back to, okay, why did we set the goals that we set when we set them? Why did we agree to the plan? We kind of go back to the beginning and remind each other of, why did we create the plan that we were creating? What were the targets? What were the target timelines? What is the data saying? And so it's a lot of awareness and review and communication to make sure that we stay on the same page. But it's also a lot of reassurance. When you're trying to build muscle, or when you're dedicating finances to growing a business, it's like you want to see results quick. And so it's a lot of reassurance about we're on the right track. This is what we're seeing. This is on pace. And so that's a big part of coaching and consulting too, is just making sure that we've got that awareness, we've got that experience to say, I've navigated this before. We're where we need to be. Sometimes that's all a client needs to hear, or all they need to see is the report of, oh yeah, I'm actually ahead of pace versus other people who have followed the strategy. So I'm good. It's also a little bit of reassurance.
What about confidence and self-doubt?
What about confidence?
Like feeling like I'm not sure if I can do this, or like,
oh my gosh, yes. Every client that I work with lacks confidence in some area. I actually am delivering a confidence transformation workshop in 2 weeks, it's an hour-long workshop that I'm giving to a group, and it's all about confidence. And whether it's in self or business, we all lack confidence in some area. Nobody just walks into a room and is confident in everything they do. And so it's really coming down to identifying what those limiting beliefs could be and how to work through them. And again, it comes down to practice. If there's something that you're feeling resistance about, or in the back of your mind, you should do it, but it's so out of your comfort zone, or you're just feeling uncomfortable, that's when you need to lean in and do it. Those are the things that really build confidence and help us be able to like kind of scale that next face of the mountain, right? Like once we overcome that challenge, it builds the confidence. And whether we succeed or fail, it builds resilience. Confidence isn't having all the answers or doing all the right things all the time. It is knowing that you did the best that you could with the information that you had, and it is practicing that over time. And so confidence is a huge factor. Confidence is, do I have enough information? Am I doing it correctly? There's so many ways that we can lack self-confidence. And so that is a big portion of what I work on with coaching. And it's also something I'm actually coming out with more tools for, because that is such a big area across the different disciplines that I work in. And I'm sure you see it too, is the lack of confidence in self, in others, and how do we bridge that and start to heal that?
Yeah, because I think that even myself, like it's so hard to like even to think, what should I do with this issue? Because we will set goals when we have problem to solve, right? Like when we have something that we need to overcome or something that we need to change or adapt, and then we set the goals to make that happen. But then when it's the thing that I'm not comfortable with, or it's not my comfort zone, then I'm start thinking, should I put that on my to-do list that already long enough?
Yeah, you are human. Absolutely.
So should we track the goals, or I mean, you mentioned checking in with your clients on weekly basis, but should we track it on daily basis or weekly basis? I see that so many tools, but what works from your experience?
So what we measure, we can manage. So a lot of people will set, I'm going into 2025 with my business and I want to make $1 million in 2025. And then come 2026, they haven't even revisited that once, right? And so I can hyperfixate. I'm a numbers girl. I love data. So I can kind of get in there, but I think it's really best to break down your annual goal into monthly goals, weekly goals, and daily goals. The more you break it down, the more accessible it is. And these big goals of $1 million, okay, well, that's only this much a month. That's only this much a week. That's only this much a day. What are the things I can do today to make that much money? It just becomes so much more accessible, so much simpler, and to your question before, so much more sustainable when you learn how to take these big goals and monitor them and manage them and break them down into very bite-sized steps to achieve them.
I believe there would be some people that procrastinate, and it would compound. Like if they don't achieve the daily goals, and then it would pile up to the next day, and then it would be more pile up.
And that's where having a coach, right? That outside person, that accountability comes in really handy for my procrastinators. And I like to do fun things where I won't ask for a check-in for a week, and then the next week I'll be like, okay, send me all your logs, send me all your journals. They're like, what? So it's like, you gotta train your brain to get into that mode. But that's also where the visual tracker that I mentioned earlier is really helpful. And there's apps on your phone, and you can do phone reminders on your alarm clock. I mean, there's so many tools. It's just about finding what works for you. But that accountability piece, especially for my procrastinators, is huge.
So in case anyone want to work with you or follow your resources, where can they find you or reach out to you then?
The best place to find me is on my website. It's hellocoaching.info. And from there, you can email me. You can link to all my social media. You can sign up for my free monthly newsletter, which is called 14 Inches. And there's just a plethora. There's a ton of free downloadable resources, including recipes and all kinds of good stuff.
I will make sure that the link will be around here, as well as the description and the show notes. Everyone, I know that you guys take notes, and I know that you learn a lot from today from Debi. And yeah, it's so awesome that get to speak with you today, Debi. And happy birthday in advance, though.
Thank you.
So have a great day ahead.
Thank you. You too.
I hope this episode inspires you wherever you are in your entrepreneurial journey so that you can have your business that supports your lifestyle. Get a show note at getunstuckmethod.com/podcast. Review what we have learned together today and start implementing right now. See it by yourself. The results of your consistent action are worth it. You deserve the freedom to enjoy your life. Until the next episode, let's get unstuck.